is up, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. Hopefully my internet is all good now. We had a little bit of a technical issue yesterday or the day before or whenever I streamed last. I don't know why I'm talking like that. Alright. This is stream 67. Gonna be working on this painting again and watching some videos. Looks like we lost a follower, which is unfortunate, but I don't think we've gained a follower in like 20 streams. Kind of depressing, but whatever. Whatever. I'm gonna have to start naming the streams 0 viewer streams again. Alright, let's do this. I'm gonna just start playing videos. Get right to the point. Oh, also, I'm in love. Yeah.
The launch of the RTX 50 series has been plagued by underwhelming performance, low stock, and black screening drivers. And to top it off, NVIDIA is embroiled in yet another power connector scandal on their flagship RTX 5090 Founders Edition. At this point, I wouldn't even blame them for saying, you know what? Screw it. Let's not even make a 5070 Ti Founders Edition. What? They didn't make one. Nope. NVIDIA has left their most affordable 50 series yet in the hands of their board partners who did their best with it. But if you guys were hoping that the 50 series story would get better as we made our way down to the cards that more folks can afford, well, I've got news for you. The good news is that the 5070 Ti is a significantly more compelling product than the 5080. But that assumes that anyone can get it at MSRP. And that's the bad news. No one's going to be getting it at MSRP. But you know what you will get at MSRP is this segue to our sponsor.
Ahrefs. Increase visibility to your website with Ahrefs' free-to-use SEO tools. You'll get access to their SEO health tracker, an up-to-date list of search-friendly keywords, and more, just by clicking the link in the video description.
The 5070 Ti sits in kind of a weird place. It arguably has the chops for 4K gaming, but in our opinion, the sweet spot for it is high refresh rate 1440p gaming or very high refresh rate like esports 1080p gaming. Let's start with the latter. In Alan Wake, the 5070 Ti manages a 9% uplift over the 4070 Ti Super, but then loses to AMD's aging 7900 XT. In F124, the 5070 Ti inches a bit closer to pole position and gets closer still in sci-fi roguelike Returnal. In our Vulkan test, Red Dead Redemption 2, we see the 5070 Ti finally surpass the 7900 XT, but it's not until we look at Cyberpunk where we see a result that meets the technical definition of a lead, albeit barely. With that said, thanks to its much better 1% lows, the 5070 Ti tops our charts in The Last of Us Part 1 and properly beats Team Red in Black Myth Wukong. Across our suite of games then, we see the 5070 Ti pull off a serviceable 15% lead over its last-gen counterpart, but we also see it demonstrate clearly why NVIDIA wishes that everyone would just forget that that card was replaced by a more super variant just over a year ago. It surpasses that card by only 9%. Buh. Of course, at 1080p, it's easy for a card this powerful to end up CPU bottlenecked. So let's push some more pixels to get a better idea of where the 5070 Ti sits in the product stack. Right out of the gate, it manages a measurably better improvement over the last-gen Super at 1440p. And what? A 10% is a measurably more than 9? But even then, it still fails to break away from Team Red's 7900 sandwich, which further illustrates just how disappointing this generation is for gamers. Typically, we would expect a new 70 class GPU to beat or at least match the last generation's 80 series. But now, not even the 70 Ti can stand up to the last gen 80 card. That kinda sucks. Unless you have a 4080, in which case, hey, NVIDIA just saved you a lot of money. Maybe it makes up for it in ray tracing though. And, well, hey, it compares much more favorably to AMD here, whose 7000 series RT capabilities are more like 2 generations behind NVIDIA, but we are still looking at a meh uplift over the 4070 Ti Super. I mean, if you want to crank the eye candy without upscaling at 1080, the 5070 Ti delivers a great gaming experience, outside of the notoriously demanding Black Myth Wukong. But 1080p Ultra used to cost like $300, not $750. The good news is that 1440p ray tracing puts the 5070 Ti in its biggest lead over last gen so far, a 13%. So if you pretend that the Super doesn't exist, the 5070 Ti does provide decent generational uplift. But the non-Super that NVIDIA wants us to compare it to was mocked for its dismal value proposition. And given that I have Supers in my warehouse right now, it's clear that NVIDIA's Operation Chronos failed. Superly. So why isn't NVIDIA's new 50 series Blackwell much better? Well, for a couple of reasons, but the main one is that it's manufactured on the same 4N process node as its predecessor and makes relatively light changes to the underlying architecture compared to last gen. We get lightly improved ray tracing or RT cores, moderately improved tensor cores for AI, and this one is key, seemingly unimproved CUDA cores, which do the bulk of the work in traditional rendering. The main step forward seems to be better integration between the AI and the rendering cores for the sake of future neural rendering technology that demos admittedly very well right now, but it's going to take time to see widespread adoption in games you can play. With all of that said, Blackwell cards do get some pretty big improvements that don't show up on the FPS charts. The media engine for encoding and streaming is capable of significantly higher quality. DP 2.1 UHBR20 connectors at the back allow these monsters to drive 4K displays at up to 240 Hz without compression. And the jump to GDDR7 memory means that our VRAM is now 1 greater than 6. What? Oh no! It must have heard me say neural rendering. Hide! DLSS 4 with multi-frame gen is coming! Ah! And it's coming in hot. I'm talking over 150 frames per second in Cyberpunk at 4K with ray tracing set to ultra. Dang! And we get improved image quality over previous generations of DLSS. Our frames look closer to native rendering thanks to the new transformer-based AI upscaling model, and the new tensor cores can generate as many as 3 AI-generated frames for every truly rendered frame, leaving less AI-endowed last-gen cards in the dust. Too bad it comes with numerous downsides, like lowering your base frame rate, only really feeling good when that base frame rate is already high enough to be playable, and introducing weird anomalies. Like any tool, it does have its uses, but don't imagine that it's a magic fix, no matter how much NVIDIA wants you to believe that it is. Of course, that doesn't mean the 5070 Ti is a slow card. For funsies, we got the good folks in the lab, wearing their super awesome LTT Labs merch from lttstore.com, to drag race the 5070 Ti in 4K against its bigger brother, the RTX 5080, resulting in probably the best argument for this card that we've seen yet. Obviously it's slower, it's a lower end card, but the value is much better against a card that is sold out everywhere. And it's got the same 16 gigs of VRAM, making both cards likely to be similarly future
And my snake just
probable. I don't want to say proof. Our Asus Prime card features a triple fan cooler that uses a flow-through design. It's a little thicker than 2 slots, but it isn't any wider or taller than the 5080 FE, and it managed to keep this 300 watt card at around 70 degrees in both F124 and in Combustor. In our power tests, while we did see a transient spike as high as 360 watts, overall the card seems well behaved as it pulls roughly 9% more power than the 4070 Ti to deliver your sweet FPS. For power delivery, Asus uses the scandalous connector that's been making headlines for melting on Founders Edition 5090s. But the lower power draw here, by half, means that melting cables shouldn't
sorry about that.
be an issue. On an unrelated note, when's the last time you checked your smoke alarm? The 5070 Ti is clearly a gaming-focused product, but we like to take a look at productivity anyway, and we were unsurprised to find that the biggest generational uplift is in, you guessed it, AI. with most of our benchmarks seeing substantial improvements over last gen, and especially over the competition from AMD. While the models that you can run will be limited by your mere 16 gigs of VRAM, you're no more limited than you would be on a 5080. Cool card, that one. As for 3D modeling, don't expect much of an improvement, and for video editing, the new card proves capable, if not sensational, with very similar performance to the 5080. Just note though, that the 70 Ti has one fewer decoder engine compared to its bigger brother. So for a very large multicam setup, for instance, you could overburden it and end up putting additional strain on your CPU. All right, with that out of the way, what's the conclusion for this thing? Well, it's complicated. If you spent $599 for a 2070 Super way back in the day, you might be happy to spend $150 more than you did last time on a 5070 Ti that nets you over 2.5 times the performance. And that's a totally valid perspective. So why are reviewers so pissed off about this thing and the 50 series in general? Well, it's because at one point you could wait that same 6 years and the card that you upgraded to would be over 3 times as good for essentially the same nominal price. And then if you factored in inflation, it would technically be cheaper. Not to mention that these new cards here can't even be bought at those advertised prices for reasons that seem to mostly come down to NVIDIA prioritizing their AI customers and their shareholders over gamers. So yeah, I'm mad, because for the first time in my lifetime, the trend of more powerful hardware being available to more people, driving a boom in access to information and economic opportunity, that trend seems to be going in reverse. Maybe AMD's Radeon team can save us? Yeah, I don't know if I'm hopeful, but I'm hoping to tell you about our sponsor.
Rocket Money. No one likes hidden fees, but sometimes they're kind of hard to snuff out. However, what's worse is when you get charged for a subscription service that you forgot to cancel earlier in the year. I mean, that's on you, but it doesn't have to be for long. Rocket Money can help round up all of your subscriptions into one easy to look at.
Let's see. What do we got? Jesus Christ, there's like nothing. Wait, what?
Continuous earthquakes rock the Aegean Sea, a region 30 times more at risk than the Saanich.
Wait, is this AI channel? It is. I hate that shit. Alright, let's see what this is.
This IRL streamer just crashed out over a woman and ended up smashing the window of his rental while live streaming it.
I'm gonna kill her! I can't believe this! I don't care, dude. I don't care, bro. I got a glass in my hand. I don't care, bro. I can't take this anymore.
Oh boy, yeah, that's one way to react. So this is Ice Poseidon. We've recently talked about some of his antics in Japan, but he basically pioneered the modern version of IRL streaming, as he was by far the largest IRL streamer on Twitch, until he was banned for essentially being deemed a brand risk after he was swatted numerous times, with the final one being on the plane in LAX.
An online personality, somebody who streams video online, says it was a bomb threat and it was a prank. He says he was the target.
I felt really bad for everybody on the plane because they just had to sit there because of this guy who called. He called in and said that I had a bomb on the plane. That's what he said. He was pretending to be me.
And I mean, the laundry list of things that have happened throughout his career is too much to name here, but it's safe to say he's been a controversial figure for a while. But recently, he's been doing this challenge of IRL streaming 100 days straight while in Asia. And this has definitely taken a massive mental toll on the guy, especially a month in. We're actively watching a dude completely lose his mind live. And this is all really about a bunch of self-inflicted reasons that stems from the types of people he associates with, his actions while streaming, the toxic audience that's entertained by his downfall, and the people who are actively hunting the guy down, and then his girlfriend. And as I said previously, this is all happening while he's live streaming 24/7. So there's obviously a lot to cover, but let's stick to the main moments around this big viral crash out. Apparently, this live stream challenge has put a lot of stress on him and his girlfriend, as his girlfriend is not with him in Japan. She's at home in the US. He's live streaming 24/7, so he can't really be there for her. And he's also being a dumbass around other women on his live stream. And I mean, that just definitely rubs salt in the wounds of his girl. So I guess like one of the big things that people are talking about is there's some nose job speculations. And I'm saying speculations because I don't know what's true. But people are saying that she stole $20,000 from ICE to go get a nose job. And the nose job apparently didn't go well. Hence the reaction.
I can't believe this.
But from what I can tell, that's not true. At least the first half. I did confirm with ICE that she did not steal the money from him, and he willingly paid for it. But here's one of the viral clips that led up to the viral crash out.
Yeah, she's f***ing man. I'm over here working my ass off, trying to make f***ing money for us to f***ing live. And she's complaining that I was mean to her, like, or whatever, dude. Like, I don't even remember what the conversation was. Just I was just trying to say that if I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit, if you can just work with me, and if you can just make me feel better in that moment, so I can get out of this little cycle that I'm in, and then I can feel better afterward.
Yeah, I mean, this is the downside of live streaming 24/7 for over a month, especially if you don't have clear and set boundaries with your significant other. Small problems suddenly become big problems. And if that happens, without a doubt, you will go insane.
I don't want it. I said, I don't want it, bro. If you want to, like, I'll break up with you. I don't know. I need somebody who's going to be with me through thick and thin, support my feelings when I'm out here working my ass off while you're sitting home doing nothing. You're at home doing nothing. I'm out here working my ass off, going mentally insane, so you can live a good life. And I'm the bad guy.
His girlfriend.
Well, you're at home doing nothing. Like, dude, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Obviously, it escalated from there.
About telling girls, oh, they got big son. I'm like, yeah, they got big. I don't give a. They got big. Yeah, I'm impressed by it. Like, I don't give a anymore. I don't give a shit. Not enough as well. I'm tired of this shit, man. Like, I'm tired of getting pressed by her too. Like, bro, I could so many of these goddamn girls out here and I don't. Okay, you better be thankful for that shit. If I want to say it, she got big. Yeah, she got big. What about it? Get the f over it.
So, I mean, this just looks like it's two emotionally immature people dating in public where there's like 30,000 live people watching most of their interactions. So that's a nightmare for anyone, to be honest. And clearly it got to a point where he just completely lost it.
You tell her. Go, you're up. I can't believe this. I don't care, dude. I don't care, bro. You're putting my hand. I don't care, bro. I can't take this anymore. Bro, it's us broken. You. Glass in my hand, man. You. Yes. Stop the car.
Oh my god.
Stop the car. Huh? Stop the car.
He's going insane. Stop the car.
Get out of this car, man. Are you okay, bro? I'm fine. I'm fine, bro.
Crashing out. He's crashing out.
I don't know why you can't just support me. Your worst time ever. Oh, worst. Get time. Get out of this car.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, this is just sad. I mean, like, at what point do you pull the plug and take a break? Because filming yourself act like this for profit is fascinating, to put it lightly. But people are reporting saying that he did this inside of a taxi cab. But I did confirm that this was a rental that he himself rented. So, I mean, hey, at least he's not burdening some innocent taxi driver for just being the driver as his girl pushed him to a breaking point. But this is what happened after he got back into the car.
Sometimes you just black out. Especially when you're feeling really bad mentally. The feelings are uncontrollable. I just...
We need to rest.
I'm not actually going to kill her. I was just so mad I couldn't control what I was saying. That's just how I felt. It was a hyperbole.
Right. Yeah, that's the massive downside of live streaming for over a month straight until you have a mental breakdown. But the upside is, I mean, obviously it's lucrative. The dude is making some serious bank from this. This is essentially just a live reality TV show that everyone can join at any time. But thankfully, he does go on to address the window.
I gotta pay for this windshield. It's probably gonna be expensive.
Maybe we'll receive.
How much is this? How much will this cost?
We have our insurance. So.
I don't think the insurance will apply to punching a window.
Did you punch?
Yeah, I punched it. I'm surprised I didn't just go straight through the window, honestly.
Maybe homeless. Because of homeless. Homeless through the snowball last time. So it was a week already.
Whatever.
I mean, hey, at least he's not wanting to commit insurance fraud live, and he did address fixing the window right away. So it seems like he's doing the bare minimum here, hopefully. But obviously, all of this commotion has caused the Japanese public to release a wanted poster with all of these IRL streamers who are currently streaming in Japan or have been streaming in Japan. And of course, Johnny Somali has decided to reinsert himself into this, claiming that ICE is his leader. And then obviously he doubled down the video.
Hello to the people of Japan and the people of the world.
God.
I want to make this message because I've been gone for a long time. Let me introduce myself if you don't know me already. I am Johnny Somali. I am part of the criminal nuisance live streamer gang called CX. I am a high-ranking member in the black sheep of the family. We are ran by our top leader, Ice Poseidon. He's the leader of CX and Miskiff, the leader of OTK. We are part of a live streaming international criminal mafia of nuisance streamers that have came to Japan to bring you freedom, to bring you American values. You weak Japs will never stop us. You will never stop CX. You will never stop Johnny Somali. You will never stop Ice Poseidon, Paul Danino, who is my mentor, my teacher, my leader. If it was not for Ice Poseidon, I would have never came to Japan.
But it actually turns out that this account that created the wanted poster showing them is allegedly a troll account ran by Johnny or an affiliate. So it does kind of make sense that Johnny immediately used this post to insert himself into the conversation. At this point, they're kind of acting like crabs in a bucket. They're just dragging each other down and taking turns on crashing out. Ice is definitely not the leader or mentor of Johnny, though, as he's made it very clear that he doesn't want to associate with him at all.
And if you try to arrest Ice Poseidon, if you try to stop Paul Danino or any of our group, if you try to stop ABZ Abdullah, the terrorist, the one that paid for all of our kick deals and steak deals, if you try to stop ABZ Abdullah, the fat I promise you I'll be back in Japan soon. You'll never stop Kang Joel. You'll never stop Hube Sama, Showtime, and all these leeches. We will destroy Japan. And I promise you, if you arrest any of them, if you stop any of them, if you attack any of them, I will come back to Japan and I will bring back vengeance.
Yeah, the dude is currently banned from going to Japan and he's stuck in Korea for who knows how long due to this ongoing trial. So it's not like he can actually pull up to Japan and do anything.
Bro,
and speaking of which, this is definitely not going to help his trial.
Yeah,
what will be interesting to see though is what his trial outcome will be, because just looking at it, he's been playing all of his cards in the worst way possible. So you would think that he would get some serious time for all of this because he's doing everything wrong, essentially. Because the dude is literally doing the opposite of what any reasonable person would do in a situation like this. So it'll be really interesting to see what he actually ends up getting in South Korea. But when it comes to Ice Poseidon, though, he's not even halfway done when it comes to his 100-day stream marathon, and he's already crashing out like that. So I'm worried worse things are going to happen throughout this, but who knows? Hopefully my worries are wrong. That is not stopping the Japanese public from literally hunting Ice. So he's had his life threatened multiple times. He's currently being stalked. So the Japanese public, they are just over with any live streamers who can come across as disrespectful for their culture. And I mean, after Johnny Somali, it makes sense to me that they would push back on anyone who's essentially profiting from being live and teetering on being disrespectful in their country. But either way, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video, so I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. Peace.
That's right. I don't think they took a picture. I think they just used my license picture because I looked like it. It was like good enough. Damn, is the internet doing that thing again? I think it's okay. Huh. It's so crazy how there's just no people watching. Dad caught staring and beach fight breaks out. Oh, brother. Man, there's like nothing good right now. Ooh. Oh, no, it's not new. I've seen that. Lame. Woo! Dank Damas? The fuck? There we go.
What if I were to tell you that there was a program by the United States government that was set up to catch UFOs? That's right. Think of it like, you know, cheese on a mousetrap, right? Same thing. And it was called Project Interloper. And there's a secondary one called Haystack. More on that in a moment. But Luis Elizondo brought this up in a recent interview, and he actually spoke about it months before and in his book. But we'll get to that in just a moment. First, I want you to hear a clip from Luis Elizondo talking on Disclosure Team's podcast about this honey trap program that the United States government almost got going, right? Again, to catch UFOs. So 2 clips for you. Stay with me. This is the first one.
Right, let's get to some questions that were sent in. This first one I found very interesting. It's from someone called Telling the Compelling. It says, please ask if Lou is aware or can elaborate on what Haystack may be. Wow. It was spotted on Tom DeLonge's guitar next to Interloper.
Wow. I can't discuss Haystack right now.
What?
Okay.
The fuck?
Because you were given permission to talk about Interloper.
Well, Interloper, I discussed. I have permission to talk about that. The bottom line is that we had created a plan in the Pentagon through the Joint Staff, creating a program, a very sensitive classified program to snare, or if you will, entrap UAPs. Not physical entrapment, right? Or try to set up a scenario that we knew would entice UAP activity, and then have a suite or an array of collection sensor units out ready to turn on at a moment's notice and start collecting telemetry data and performance data.
What did you find, dude?
Electronic submissions data potentially, and a bunch of other stuff.
I think you're really going to get prosecuted right
Interloper, and it went all the way through the Joint Staff. Yeah.
Oh wow, she did.
And was Haystack on that level? A big operation, potentially.
Here, 1 second.
But it was far more. It was very, very significant. Unfortunately I cannot talk about that right now because there are other equities involved. But I suspect at some point, that will come out publicly.
All right, so a few things about that clip. One, there's two programs, right? One called Interloper that he's allowed to talk about, and one called Haystack that he's not allowed to talk about, but did briefly say that's a bigger, beefier project, right? Now, Interloper is set up as to gather information. So lure them with the cheese, but don't set off the trap, right? So we don't want to actually catch the UFOs, just do something that would, bring them out and then collect as much data about them as you can, right? So, all right, that's fair. That's an interesting and a great idea, right? And when you just listen to that clip, you're asking yourself, okay, so what happened? What did we do? What information did we collect? Well, I've got another clip for you. Stay with me. But first, let's get to this other part that was kind of interesting. So this Haystack program that he's not allowed to talk about, maybe one day he will, but it's bigger and beefier. I don't know how you get beefier and bigger with that. But regardless, I think I may know why Haystack even exists. I'll get to that in a second after the clip that I played for you. But first thing, they talk about that Tom DeLonge had this on his guitar. Well, I found a picture of the guitar. Here it is, and you can clearly see that it states Haystack and Interloper on Tom DeLonge's guitar. And I'm hoping that image above it is just a number 2 pencil. Let's hope that's a pencil. Anyway, hey, it's a rock star's guitar. What do you expect? Yeah, it's very interesting that Tom has that on his guitar, right? So clearly Lou has talked about both of those programs, right? But only one he's allowed to talk about publicly, which is Interloper. But again, like I said, I think I know why Haystack was even, started. Because when you find out what happened to this, program Interloper, I think you'll understand why. Here's a clip from months ago of Luis Elizondo talking about this Interloper program.
I believe you say in the book that we have set traps for them. Tell me about that.
Sure. We set up a program. It was called, the operation was Operation Interloper. And in essence, we do know through our observations that UAP seem to be very interested in our nuclear equities and also seem to be found in and around bodies of water. So no bigger, nuclear footprint than a carrier strike group. You have a nuclear powered aircraft carrier. You have aircraft that are also capable of potentially delivering, nuclear capabilities. You have boats and submarines in the area that may be
Oh shit! I never thought of that. I was always wondering why they were talking about like the nuclear thing. Like I was thinking about, strictly nuclear weapons. I never thought about them like being attracted to the nuclear reactors on the ship that are powering it. And that would make sense because aircraft carriers have to have a huge fucking nuclear reactor to power all that shit. And then in the water, the nuclear fucking submarines. How come we've never heard anything about the submarines? Because there's so many of these like underwater or like UFOs going into water like sightings that wouldn't like one of our super advanced submarines be able to pick that up? Or is that just like impossible because of the water? I thought we had like really sensitive equipment at like everywhere. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what my snake is doing. Oh man. Ball pythons are really not the smartest.
nuclear powered and may also themselves have some sort of nuclear capabilities on board. So the idea was to set you're right, like a honeypot. What we would do is create this irresistibly large nuclear footprint in the ocean, frankly, in some cases bigger than the entire state of New York, with all the nuclear technology that we have. And then what we would do is we would wait for the UAP to show up and then spring the trap. In essence, at a certain point, turn on all the collection capabilities we have in the area from the various sources, and try to collect telemetry and other information to give us a better sight picture on their capabilities. It went all the way through the Joint Staff. It was getting a lot of support, and then at the very last minute, it was killed at the highest levels. We were never told why. But
so the actual trapping never happened.
Yeah, we had the plan established, and it was getting coordinated through the Pentagon with the various agencies as well, other agencies, intelligence agencies. But at the last minute, at the very last second, it was turned off.
And obviously, we don't know why, but why is that, Lou? I mean, I get that we don't know, but why?
Well,
why
we have some speculation that we were getting too close to another perhaps UAP program that was being run simultaneously in the government. We can't prove it. We do know that the government has had a long-standing interest in UAP and have been dedicating resources to studying it. Most people only know about ATIP and OSAP and maybe Blue Book, but there's been other efforts as well.
So honestly, that is my guess why Haystack, Operation Haystack, or Program Haystack, or Project Haystack, whatever, however you want to preface it, was started, because Interloper didn't happen, right? They shut that down. So they got it going, get to the end, and then boom. It's almost like a movie getting put in pre-production. They got the script written, actors casted, sets built. They're about ready to start shooting in a few days, and then boom, the lead actor pulls out, or the budget's pulled, or something happens where the project is dead in the water. It sounds like that's exactly what happened to Interloper. Now, the reasons why Luis Elizondo kind of dances around, right? Like, it could be they were coming up close to a program that already existed, a UFO program, so they didn't want that to happen. But I mean, who knows, right? It's politics. There's, could be a bazillion reasons why it didn't happen. Now, granted, Luis Elizondo would know more than me, for instance, and most of us watching. I would say all of us watching, right? So, I take what he says, right, as far as why he thinks it didn't happen. And it's interesting, and that makes me think that's why Haystack got started, right? Haystack is started to sort of, okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again under a different name and see what, we can do, right? Let's see if we can find this needle in the haystack, if you will. So that's what I think, and I think it's probably happening, or it's either in the works, or it already happened, it's functioning currently, something about that. Sounds like Haystack is more of a, round two, and may have been successful, or is still in the works and will be successful. I don't know. So he did say we would find out more about it publicly with time, but I don't know. Very interesting, and I like the idea that we're trying to put something together to lure these UAP and see if we can get some information. Now, I guess, what they do to lure them would be interesting to know, right? Like, are they putting out a live goat, right? Like they do in Jurassic Park to get the T-Rex to come out, right? I think I heard on another interview, and I can't remember correctly, but it had something to do with like, they would bring out some battleships, and like it was a whole thing, right, that they were trying to do to get out and bring UAP out, right? But that would be interesting to know what attracts UAP, right? What exactly do they know that attracts them, or is that part of the test as well? So I don't know. What do y'all think? Project Interloper, Haystack, was that a pencil on Tom DeLonge's guitar? Let me know in the comments, y'all. These are the tough questions we need answered. So anyway, let me know what y'all think. We'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.
Squiggles is... Does she not want to go in there? It's kind of weird. Let's turn that. Okay. What happened to the... Oh. Whoops. I didn't even notice that it wasn't playing. Oopsie. The Libra interview? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Woo! Do 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 do.
Oscar-nominated actor Paul Giamatti may be playing Art. Oscar-nominated actor.
Was that his cat?
Oscar-nominated actor Paul Giamatti may be playing Art Bell in a brand new movie that's set to come out soon. Right now, the bidding war is still out on, who's going to get the movie, what's going to happen. Let's see what all the details are about. Because there's a lot here to discuss, because Paul Giamatti is a huge fan of the UFO phenomena. He has a podcast where he's dedicated time to it. In fact, he loves talking about it. More on that in a second. And guess what else? Well, AJ from the Y-Files is, more than likely going to be working on this project as well. I've got some details on that because I emailed AJ and he responded. I'll get to that in a moment. So, let's jump into the story, y'all. Right? Paul Giamatti playing Art Bell in a movie. I'm in. I mean, Paul Giamatti is one of the greatest actors of our time. So for him to jump into this topic and play such a prominent figure, right, in the community, Art Bell from coast to coast, this would be epic. This is going to be epic. Now, I think that this movie is going to happen, and not only that, I think people are going to fight over who's going to get to release it, right? This is a big deal, right? Paul Giamatti coming off of an Oscar nomination, right? Golden Globe win for his role in The Holdovers, right? Just a couple years ago. Boom. Now his next project is this. So, look, I've got some more details on what exactly is happening. Let's get to it. All right. So we've got right here, Deadline is reporting bidders circling hot radio silence and Paul Giamatti package about paranormal DJ Art Bell. Paranormal DJ. I love that. So here we go. Exclusive. We are hearing that Amazon and Warner Brothers, among others, have put bids in for a pitch that's been making rounds from the Radio Silence team with Paul Giamatti attached to star. The pitch is a biopic about the late paranormal DJ Art Bell, who would broadcast his radio show from his home studio 65 miles west of Las Vegas, fielding unscreened telephone calls in a 5-hour show on KNYE-FM called Coast to Coast. Guests would offer up eyewitness stories on Bell's show about alien encounters, past lives, time travel, and more X-File-like situations. His 2018 New York Times Obituary noted that Bell claimed he and his wife spotted a 150-foot-long triangular craft above their car one night before it disappeared. In Coast to Coast heyday in the 1990s, it would pull in around 10 million listeners.
Dude, what?
Okay, this was no joke, y'all. So many famous stories from that show.
I didn't know it was that many.
Hang on, my
That's
chair is,
so many
is
people back
sliding
then?
down. Yeah, so many people would...
dude, I had
so
no
many
idea
stories
it was that many
from
people.
from
That's
his
crazy.
time, right? Like, and I've got a couple clips that I want to share. One
Balthazar,
from the
right?
actual show, and then another one, an interview, so you can see his face and who he is with George Knapp. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's keep going here.
That's so crazy.
Bell became an amateur radio operator at 13, served as an Air Force medic during the Vietnam War, and was a DJ for an English language station in Okinawa. He was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in 2008. Bell also co-wrote the Coming Global Superstorm with Whitney Strieber. I don't know why they put that L in there. Which became the basis for the Roland Emmerich mega hit The Day After Tomorrow. Great movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid. He wrote several books, including his autobiography, The Art of Talk, which is included in the rights to this package. Producing the film project is Sophie Cassidy, the head of 2.0 Entertainment, and Jeff Katz. Katz started his career in talk radio and began chasing rights to the Art Bell project with Cassidy while they worked on The Pope's Exorcist. He eventually worked with the city government of Pahrump, Nevada, Bell's hometown, to build a relationship with and earn the support of Bell's business partner, Karen Jackson, as well as Bell's family. So, look, basically, Jeff Katz, more on him in a second, so just pin that. Radio Silence, who's behind this, right? They're the ones pitching this project, right? They're comprised of directors Matt Olfen and Tyler Gillette. They directed 2012's VHS, but 2019 Searchlight horror film Ready or Not, which I love that movie, took them to the next level, becoming a cult classic. They also went on to helm the reboots of Scream and Scream 6, right? Boom. And so now they're, right, trying to tackle this, which is very, very interesting, to say the least. And look, let's keep going. So AJ from the Y-Files tweeted out, a year ago, my Hollywood big shot buddy, Pod Katz, who is Jeff Katz, right, who I just mentioned, told me about this project he was working on. I said, the Y-Files wants in. The Y-Files is in. We have something else cooking with Jeff too. More details on these when I'm allowed to talk. Backstage vid about this project coming ASAP. Let the bidding war begin. Then he puts a link to that Deadline article, which we just went through. And I'll put links in the description to all of this. So the Y-Files is in, y'all. So I emailed AJ because I communicate with AJ very sparsely, just every once in a while by email. And he's always so kind and always responds, and just, you know, such a great dude. And so was very excited when he, you know, responded, basically, and told me, I can't really, to be honest with you, he can't really say anything publicly, right? So I can't really say anything, just the fact that he is going to be helping with this project, and he'll be talking more about what he can as, basically the project needs to get picked up, and then they start setting up a plan, then he'll, you know, be allowed to talk a little bit more about how AJ from the Y-Files and other people, I'm assuming, are going to be helping out with this film. I mean, AJ and his team are such great researchers. AJ in particular, I would imagine they're going to help building that story out about Art Bell, right? And I mean, good Lord, this is going to be awesome. AJ from the Y-Files helping out. I did tell him, hey, are you going to have a cameo? And he said, and I hadn't even thought about that, but now I'm going to ask. So if we see AJ in the Y-Files, from the Y-Files in the movie, you got your boy Patrick to thank for that, for giving him that idea. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he would have thought of that at some point. Let's be real. It's so early in the stage, but basically you've got an idea. I'm assuming a script, right? And a star attached. I mean, I can't imagine Paul Giamatti is going to attach himself to this project without a script in place, but it is possible. These things do happen sometimes. But typically, I would assume there's a script. Paul Giamatti's read it. He likes it. He loves the UFO stuff, which we'll get to here in a second. And now, okay, boom, he's on. And so now they're just trying to find who's going to pick this up, right? And there's going to be a little bit of a bidding war. I mean, it's Paul Giamatti again. You know, he's going to put out a performance, man. Did you see American Splendor? That was a movie that kind of helped catapult him as well. And he played a person that actually existed, right? And he's played real people before. Hello, John Adams, right? Like, but American Splendor, right? And God, he was so good in that. And what he's going to do for Art Bell is going to be like phenomenal, right? I cannot wait for this. And, you know, this is exciting. I'm super excited for this and super excited for AJ to help out with that. And yeah, there's no real details. I mean, he couldn't tell me anything. That's basically what he said. Like, look, I gotta wait. But as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. So I'll be making update videos to let everyone know what's going on. And I'm sure he's going to be letting people know on the Y-Files as well. All right, let's get to this. Let me show you this. So look at this article from the Hollywood Reporter. This is back in March 8th, 2024. So almost a year ago. Paul Giamatti would rather talk about Bigfoot and UFOs than pretty much anything else. Since being nominated for an Oscar, the Holdover star has tripled the audience of Chinwag, his podcast about the paranormal, esoteric, and downright weird. Now Giamatti is planning an extended Chinwag universe. What does that mean? I need to get involved with that. But what's interesting is he's been nominated for an Oscar before, back for Cinderella Man. And he got beat by George Clooney for Syriana. This is like 2006. We're talking Ron Howard's Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. So I'm surprised he didn't get nominated for Sideways, right? Let's be real. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be so cool. And Paul Giamatti, he's bringing like his passion and love for the topic to this kind of project. Let's be real. Right. This is it. It might be a project that I bet he will say like he's never wanted to do something so bad, you know, and research. Imagine he gets to research for this, right? Like he's gonna love every second of it. So this is very exciting. And there you can see Paul Giamatti, and he could definitely play Art Bell. Definitely. This is going to be so good. Gosh, guys, I cannot wait for this. All right, so hang on. I've got a couple interviews
What a dummy.
Here. Okay, this is George Carlin talking with Art Bell, because see, Art Bell is such a diverse range of interviews that he did and topics he discussed, and it wasn't just UFOs. And he didn't just talk to like UFO nuts, you know, like Art Bell. It's crazy, right? So George Carlin, man, the GOAT, right? One of the comedy GOATs for sure, going on and talking with Art Bell. I've got a little snippet here that I've set up that I want us to listen to. I'll put a link in the description so you can go listen to this full interview if you want. It's phenomenal.
You know, when they talk about conspiracies, and one of the things I enjoy on your show is when people talk about the government, and I'm talking about your guests who talk about whether or not the government and certain agencies and certain aspects of government have covered things up. And I have thought for a long time, not always obviously, but that, you know, they've tried to make it so that the belief in a conspiracy makes you somehow outside the norm, that you're a kook. That you're a conspiracy buff. They say he's a conspiracy buff.
George, they lie their asses off.
I know it. And I wrote a little something out, and I want to read it to you because I pulled this paper up from the other room. I have some notes I haven't filed yet. And I said, well, if this comes up, I'd like to be able to say this to Art. So let me just read this to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it goes like this. Do I believe in conspiracies? Nah. Do I believe powerful people would get together and plan for certain outcomes? Nah. Do I believe powerful interests would operate outside the law and maybe even kill people? Nah. Do I believe secret government agencies might feel the need to assassinate a person and cover it up? Nah. I think everything in America is open and clean and above board, and powerful people always play by the rules. You know, that's my thought.
Yeah, well, you should have been on my government agent line.
Oh.
I had a government agent line open earlier.
Really? Yeah. My biggest sadness is that I do go to sleep. Not my biggest sadness. Listen to this hyperbole. God, I gotta slap myself. One of my disappointments is that I don't get to hear you every night all the way through, and that I don't get to hear you every night. I do go to sleep a little bit early. Down here in Las Vegas, I do go to sleep late, but I'm usually writing at night and working on my computer.
Now, what a great interview there with George Carlin, right? Again, these are the kind of people that Art Bell, was hanging out with, talking with. People respected him. Again, he had millions of listeners nightly.
That's
right,
crazy.
coast to coast. Who doesn't remember Art Bell?
Coast
This
to
is going to
coast
be
is
such a great film that will actually go beyond just UFOs, right? The connection with those kind of listeners, pioneering a new type of radio, right, as well. It's funny, when I was 18, I wanted to be a radio DJ. And I even went to broadcasting school for a year to learn to be a radio DJ. I learned a lot. I was on the radio at my local school. We had our own radio station that we would pump out. My name was Vinyl Ray. That was my radio name. And I was really big into radio. This was, 2000, 2001, right, in that area. And it was 2001, I believe, actually. And, radio was such a... See, I grew up with the radio, so radio to me was like still a big thing even at that time. Clearly, it started to die off and became something different. But at that time, Art Bell and other people like him were people I looked up to because I wanted to have something similar, right? My own show on the radio. I didn't really want to play music. I wanted to have something like Art Bell did, a talk show, that type of thing, and talk to people and have people call in. And I miss those type of things. That doesn't really happen anymore. Can't really do that with podcast and, people still call into radio shows, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. With all the different mediums and everything you can take in, radio has definitely taken a back seat. But I love everything I've learned. And honestly, all those skills, which, I left radio once I found out, I had to go work in some small town in Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere, with 3 buildings, and one of them was the radio station, and work from 12 p.m. to or 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. And they were going to pay me nothing. No money. It was just nothing. And I just thought, some money, but nothing. I just thought, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I love it this much. And clearly I need to work my way up, but so I gave up and did other stuff and whatever. I'm here now. But always sticks with me, always sticks with me, a big place in my heart. And I use those same skills for podcasting. And I used them honestly through life because it just taught you how to speak, how to talk into a mic, how to listen, how to engage, how to, create commercials and stuff. I remember making radio commercials and stuff like that. And, it was just fun. It was just a good time. There's a lot of buttons. It was very analog, just old school. I miss it. There's something about it. You had the board, you had the thing, you got other people. It was just, it was an energy I can't explain unless you actually do it, and that was it, So, yeah, I can't wait for this movie to come out with Art Bell. It's going to be sick. And I've got one last little treat for you. This is a clip of an interview with George Knapp, one of Art Bell's last interviews he ever did before he passed. And this little piece here, I think, encompasses Art Bell in a great way and just kind of shows the impact that he had on the industry.
Let me ask you this, Art. The last time you were on the air live was 2010?
The last program I did was Halloween of 2010, and that was sort of as a part-time, I think I'll do 13 shows a year type deal. So that was the last show. The last real show I did was many, many years ago now.
And have you been kind of jonesing to do what you did before?
Of course. Every time I see a headline about anything in the paranormal world, I'm all over it, and jonesing is the right word. That's right. I love that stuff. And the world has changed only in the sense that what I did then is being done now times 10. So I'm walking back into a world that I guess almost in the modern world created, and there's more of it.
A lot more of it.
A lot more of it. So, yeah, that's right. So, of course, yes, I've been jonesing.
Do you feel a responsibility, or at least a degree of authorship for what's happened, all the paranormal TV shows and ghost hunters and all that stuff?
Even though here I am on television, I have a face made for radio, I think. And I've been approached by a lot of television, which I've turned down, one as recently as 2 days ago. So, do I feel a responsibility for authorship? Well, no, I don't want to claim that.
Oh, you must, though. I mean, you know.
These questions, look, deep questions like life after death, is there any? UFOs, people from elsewhere, things from elsewhere, all of these things that we talk about, ghosts.
Yeah, I never thought to, like, make my resume as an artist. Well, I guess there really wouldn't be anything on there, but you know what I mean? Like, I gotta figure out how to do that. Oh, sorry.
They're all the same questions that were there when I was doing the broadcast, and those questions are there and bigger now. I suppose as you can see, I'm older. As we get older, we wonder more about these things. I certainly do. So I have a lot of questions. And fortunately, there's a lot of really good people out there who have answers. I'm really looking forward to being back on the air.
It seems like there's an era, it's a more legitimate pursuit now. I mean, when you started this stuff, it was wild, crazy, it's ridiculous, something to laugh at.
That's right.
It is more respectable now. I mean, some of it's pretty laughable and crazy, but it is more respectable.
Or put another way, a lot of the things that I talked about 10 years ago are now mainstream. Actually mainstream. Global warming is an example. No matter which side of it you're on, we all know the temperatures are going up. The only argument left is who's responsible. So things that were at the fringe then are in the middle now. So I guess in a sense I'll be jumping forth to the fringe once again.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I'll make sure to update everyone as soon as I get more information about this movie, about Art Bell with Paul Giamatti. Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, betters, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.
Should play Path of Exile in a little bit.
So let's jump into kind of how I found out about all this. You made that post last summer. Was that before or after David Grush testified?
It was before Grush.
That's even more interesting.
Yeah. It was,
but after he had done his News Nation interview.
No, it was before, way before that. If you go back to look at my original interview, it was over a year ago. It was way before the Grush testimony. It had I have to look at it, but it was way before Grush came out.
Okay, so you make that post. Year goes by. when do you get in contact with News Nation, or how does that work? Who contacted you? You contacted them?
Yeah, I sent an email to Ross actually, and his producers contacted me. I forget the woman that contacted me first, and then there was a male gentleman. He contacted me too about setting up a time when it got closer to the interview time.
So what was the sell, if you will, on the story from your end? Like, what was your pitch to them?
Well, I was telling him about the site and what I discovered, and which he was more or less concerned with, UAPs and things like that, which, I never mentioned anything about seeing a UAP there. And
got it.
I just told him basically what I told you about the site, and he went through everything really quick. I mean, I've been retired for a couple of years, so I don't really talk to people all the time, and I definitely haven't talked to a national reporter like him. So it was a little bit too fast paced for me. When I talk about being disappointed in the interview, I just mean that it just went a little bit too fast for me, I think, and I wished I could have been more elaborate with or just
some of your
more
answers
detail.
and nuance, give better. How long did it last? Like, how long was the interview?
I would say maybe 20 to 25 minutes.
Oh, really? So that's not even going to be the edited interview, right? It'll be shorter than that, clearly. So that was 20-minute, and it was just you and Ross, or a producer was there?
Yeah, it was just me and Ross.
Okay.
We didn't have much small talk. He said, "Oh, Georgia boy, huh?" And he said, "You still got the hair?" I was like, "Yeah." And we just went into it, and I said, after so many years, it just kind of grows on you, and I, cut my
Get
own
used to
hair
it.
most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks good. Looks